Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a great Monday here at Heart Conditions. Grab yourself a cup of coffee and let's get ready to go into the Word. Today, we're going to be looking at Jeremiah 29, verse 11. It says, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." Now, I've preached from this a few times, but today we're going to talk about more of Him and less of me. The word surrender in most contexts is a negative word. In the world of warfare, surrender means you have lost and been overwhelmed to the point that you cannot continue on. Within a sports arena, surrender means that you have lost hope in winning the game, and so you cease to go forward. But today, we're going to look at surrender as a positive thing, because in the walk of a Christian, a surrendering to the will of God is actually the key to victory. It's interesting that Jesus said the first shall be last and the last shall be first, flipping everything on its head that we know as human beings. In our lives, the struggle is to be first. The struggle is to take care of your own. I remember growing up, I heard a lot, I'm going to look out for number one. I'm going to get mine. I'm going to take care of myself. Focus on yourself, those kind of things. But in today's study, we're actually looking at the opposite of that, especially when it comes to the Spirit of God. Surrender occurs when a person or group of people have been overpowered. When we're overpowered by the world, surrender is a bad thing. When we're overpowered by media, by news, by social media, by trivial pursuits, surrender would be a negative thing for the Christian. But when we allow God to overwhelm us, it is one of the greatest things that can ever happen in your walk with God. Those times at the altar where you stand with your hands raised and the Spirit of God moves through the service and moves through the church and moves through you, and you feel that overwhelming presence of God, is one of the greatest experiences that a believer has in a corporate worship environment. Also, in their personal prayer time, as you begin to pray and the Spirit makes intercession for you, or prays through you, this is an incredible experience for the believer and often gives us hope and strength to carry on and make it through the fight. So another definition of surrender is to give up completely or agree to forego, especially in favor of another. And so in order to allow the presence of God favor in your life or to grow in your life, you have to give up control. You have to allow the presence of God preeminence or first. You have to allow it to drive you or overwhelm you. When we surrender to Jesus, we have the ability to agree to forego in favor of His purpose, in favor of His will. We get to choose whether or not we surrender to Him. Surrender is not a forced thing when it comes to the presence of God. It is a choice that you make as a believer to allow His presence to overwhelm you. Often, though, we hold our agendas and our ideas ahead of the will of God. We attempt to follow Jesus from our own understanding, but the Bible tells us not to lean on our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct our paths. God's vision for us is greater than we understand. We read in Jeremiah that His plans are to prosper us, to bring us an expected end. Our plans are to make it through another day. Our plans are to do what it takes to succeed under a certain type of mindset. His plans are to make us overcomers or to live above and beyond where we are. In Mark chapter 8, we read that if we want to be Jesus' disciples and follow Him, we have to deny ourselves and take up our cross. The word here in the Greek for deny is apernomai, and it means to forget oneself and lose sight of one's interest. If we are going to truly follow Jesus, we need to lose our self-interest in favor of the will of God for our lives. These two verses that we read today sum up the concept of deny oneself, die to oneself. John the Baptist said, I must decrease that he might increase. Today I challenge you and encourage you that you would take a moment and allow God first in your life, the preeminence. Allow God to overwhelm you. Let his will be done. In the prayer that Jesus taught them to pray, he said, thy will be done. He said, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth, that's in me, as it is in heaven. And so today I encourage you on another episode of Heart Conditions that you would allow God's will to overwhelm you today, and that you would surrender to him, that you would begin the process of decreasing, that he might increase in your life. God bless you and have a wonderful day.